Hey y'all, it's your girly man. So it's been a while since I have recorded a solo video. So, hi, welcome to the podcast, My So-Called Disabled Life. Um, I have been having a lot of very interesting adventures lately. Um, and soon I'll talk about it a bit more, but you know, mental health journeys are never easy. And they're especially not easy when everyone doesn't know the full story. And you still have to navigate through a lot of these different places and a lot of these different things. And so I am learning very much how to be okay with that, to be okay with everyone not knowing all the details about not only my mental health journey, but also some of the wild shenanigans that happened a few years ago that were directly um, attached, let's say, attached to my mental health and the struggles. And I think, I'm going to do an episode on that soon about specifically about mental health. Um, but it just showed me that, um, one, a lot of people assume that if you have a physical disability, you don't have or you couldn't possibly have mental health stuff going on. No, those are separate. Um, but also that if you are as successful at masking as I am, which I found out several months ago from doing some hardcore therapy, apparently I'm a master masker. And so people never think there's anything going on with me because I read a lot, I am well versed, um, I can speak on a lot of things, and folks don't honestly ever consider me to be part of anything going on with mental health. No, Eman's depressed. Eman has anxiety. Eman has PTSD. What? Um, which was a kind of wild thing for me to experience because how could I have gone through all of these different things and then also going through a chronic illness and then also becoming more and more disabled as I get older and also grow up in poverty and have a domestic violence situation and lose all these pregnancies and all this stuff and not have depression or anxiety or PTSD or CPTSD for that matter. And I'm working on doing an episode that talks about a book specifically on CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I got halfway through a book by Peter Walker, who wrote a great book on it. And I only got halfway through it because I felt like every chapter was about me. Yeah, wild. Anyway, as I'm navigating this journey, I've been doing a lot of art, a lot of writing, a lot of painting, a lot of drawing, a lot of coloring too, because hey, why not? Colors, love colors. Um, and it brought me back to, well, not fully my origin story, which might be a villain origin story for some people. Hey, we're a villain in somebody's story, right? And if I'm the villain in some people's stories, oh well. Um, it's wild to me. Um, yeah. Anyway, because I've been doing more art, I've been thinking about more art and more writing, and performing and all that. And it brought me back to when in the very beginning of my writing, I started writing when I was about 10, um, and kept writing. I've been writing, and I'm 42 now, so that's been a very long time, very long time. And I was thinking back to some of my really impactful poetry that I wrote as a teenager. Now, I might say, oh, wow, I wrote some amazing stuff back then. I've never written anything that's great since, but that's not true. I've written a lot of great things over the years. And I did write some amazing poetry, spoken word poetry specifically as a teenager. Um, and so I just wanted to, and a lot of people have heard this poem, and a lot of people have seen me perform it, read it in a book, in a poetry zines, and the like. Since I was 16, because that's when I wrote it, and that's when I started putting it out there. Um, so everybody knows it's mine. Um, and it's also in the book I've been writing on and off since I was 19. Yeah. Which I have just started to write a whole new version of, hoping my therapy helps me to get through some of the trauma so that I can actually finish it, because that would be nice. Um, and so, yeah. And so this is, I wouldn't say like an intro to me, but it definitely does paint a picture and tells a story. Because one of the very wild things that's been going around about me, is that I lied about being part Black, which is easily provable. Easily. I mean, also look at this hair and this nose, these lips. Anyway, I'm very much Black and Palestinian all at the same time, 100% of both. That's just how I am. And also 100% New York, straight up, straight up, straight up. And it's also not my fault that I've moved around and lived in every borough, because of poverty and because of inaccessibility. And some people are mad about that too. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I've lived in every borough, and I've lived in several neighborhoods in every borough. Sorry. Can't help it. That's just my life. So that makes me a real and true New Yorker, straight up. Straight up. Anyway, that was a long introduction for this poem. And all it is to say is that I am a human. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And also, people don't know all the everythings to all the things I've been through and all the issues I've had to deal with. And that I do sometimes make mistakes. And that I'm allowed to make mistakes. That's part of being a human being. We're not always perfect. We're not always infallible. And therapy has been reminding me daily that I deserve grace too. And oftentimes we see that Black and brown women, cis women, but also trans women, anyone who's a woman or feminine identifies that way, the Black and brown ones specifically, and also I have to say a lot of women, we're never allowed grace. We're never allowed to make mistakes and then bounce back from it. We're never allowed to be full humans. We have to be perfect all the time. And everything has to be great all the time. And I live on the same earth y'all live on, and I know that's not possible. Not at all, not even a little bit. So yeah. So all that to say is that I appreciate the viewership. I appreciate all the folks who come on the show. I appreciate all of the amazing interviews that I've gotten to do. I feel privileged to be able to speak to all these people around the world. Awesome. And then I'm going to be doing more of that this summer and this year, and I've got some amazing episodes scheduled. So happy. And if there are a couple of weeks here and there that I don't have anyone to interview, and you'd like to come on, please hit me up. Let me know. But also, I'm going to be reposting old episodes so that folks can see, so people can have like a flashback from last year, which I think is cool. So, yeah. So, thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to share one poem and maybe some prose. I don't know. Also. So, this poem, I wrote this when I was 16. And I was 16 in, 2000. And it's part of a series of several poems about my family and my life and growing up and all that stuff. And it's the I Remember series. This is I Remember Part 1, Family Gatherings. There you go. I remember family gatherings. I remember sips of strong black coffee, Arab coffee, no milk, no sugar, bitter memories in a cup, and that's the way we liked it. That's the way I liked it. We sat in the back of his dark red Oldsmobile. It smelled like old cherry car fresheners that should have been thrown away months ago. We'd go, sit, feed, pray. They are our blood, but they treat us like the needy. I remember pushes to the front, had to be the brave one, had to go first. Little brother never felt brave enough. Old country stations mixed with Sunday afternoons at Habibi Buck Buck and Khartoum the Great. Pinched cheeks and cookies with sesame seeds on them. Running barefoot on pale marble floors, cold when you put your face on it. Discussions of whose child was smarter, bigger, better, braver, but in the end we all lost out. We were all dark beauties, olive skin, tainted eyes, soft brown curly locks. I remember talks alone with my cousins, all boys, few girls. We'd sit up at night, everyone downstairs, we in the attic. I wanted him to hold me as a sister. He wanted to follow the family and have a wife, and so I left, never to return, always to return, always to return. I remember Southern fried chicken and fresh cornbread. Conversations of back in the day, please, flew from person to person. Men sitting in their undershirts and work pants, beer in one hand, possibly a child sitting near the other, a cigarette in his fingers. Every sentence starting with, baby, let me tell you, or, you don't know. Wild laughter roaring in every direction. Thin, dark children running from porch to yard to playset to person. I remember glimpses of talk who knows if I was meant to hear. No, a child as light as some white folk. Grandma Nora and Ivory never let anyone get away with it. They'd tell them to step, and if they didn't, they'd catch a beating. I remember trips back in the Oldsmobile. Men sat barefoot, cross-legged, laughing respectfully. Keef halak and alhamdulillah flying from mouth to mouth. The women wore long skirts, sat on the other side of the room, feet covered, feet planted on the floor, little smiles, adoring, hateful eyes at their husbands, their cousins. I was the only child sitting on her father's lap, and he did it to show off. He did it to show off. My mother rarely came to these types of gatherings. There would be no mix of talk or laughter, no women showing skin or men drinking and smoking, throwing pleas around, sitting at tables with chubas and black olives, plates of tan hummus and tea being passed around, piles of meat and rice filled with walnuts and cashews racing at your nose. I remember big breasts and tank tops, rocking chairs in the yard, Grandpa covered in oil from his car, James Brown on a nearby radio station screaming, it's a man's world, but it ain't nothing without a woman. It's a man's world, but it ain't nothing without a woman. I remember wearing frilly dresses, posing for pictures I knew I wouldn't see or understand until years later. I understand now, these memories that hold me like a cup of coffee. And so I remember never liking to take sips of black coffee. So I mix lots of sugar and tons of milk, giving tastes, giving a sweet taste and flavor to the bitter memories. And that's the way we liked it. That's the way I like it. Thank you. And when I wrote that poem years ago, I just remember sitting and thinking and thinking and thinking about how I wanted to represent growing up in Queens in the early 80s, going back from Queens to Hempstead to Bay Ridge in Brooklyn. Hempstead's in Long Island, for folks who don't know. Um, and navigating all of those different communities and navigating all of those different kinds of experiences and ways of being. Um, and it was just it was very, very, very interesting. Now I have another piece that's brand spanking new, not new, but new to the public, because I have a bunch of different uh, portions of the book called 80s Babies, um, which became a thing because of the I Remember pieces. And I wrote this much, much later. But I wanted to share a couple of these because they were fun to write and they were also fun to think back on. So this is 80s Babies Part 1. I'm only going to share 2 of these today because they are very, very, very rough and half finished. So pardon me while I'm working on the changing and the editing and the writing and the woo. So 80s Babies 1. I remember wearing a white dress with little black triangles, prim and proper. The 80s were a time of prim and proper children, no matter your upbringing or ethnic breakdown, at least in my mind. And I was ready for my close up. But before that, I remember walking through Auntie Ruth and Great Grandma Ivory's living room, hypnotized by the giant portrait of Black Jesus. Hair long and straight and black, dark brown arms welcoming, face calm and loving, taking me away from the noise of the outside world and bringing me to peace. I played a scenario out in my 4-year-old mind. Looking back on my childhood memory, I think that was the painting kind of looked like D.B. Woodside with a wig on. A nice one. He's a fine Black Jesus. We got ready that day to take our pictures at Sears. Hamsey, my younger brother, and I dressed in our finest to make a good impression on the photographer and to make my Aunt Ruth proud. I can't remember if we were back in New York City or in Louisiana or Mississippi, where we had been between 4 and 6. We had been down south, and smiling was hard sometimes, just like calling Auntie Ruth Mommy was hard, since she forged the papers to get us into school down south. Or maybe I'm getting my times messed up. Sears was when I was 4. Memories are both blurry and vivid. Trauma has that effect on people. I remember posing, Hamsey sitting in front of me, his black sweater with its wavy, colorful patterns scratching against my bare arms, my long, curly black hair resting down my back and along my shoulders, smiling for the camera. Sears had never seen such well behaved colored kids. Never. Must be 'cause y'all mixed. Bitch said, what? Overheard that. I remember all of us going to the drive-thru at Burger King afterward and getting a ketchup stain on my dress that never came out and seeing those pictures on the table near the Black Jesus in Auntie and Great Grandma's house. And every time I see that picture of us hanging on my living room wall, it reminds me of that time. 80s Babies Part 2. Take on Me by Aha is playing in the background on MTV. They used to play endless music videos. Good times. I'm in my baby walker, dancing and dancing in my seat. My black curls short and bouncy. I'm wearing a pair of purple shorts and a white and purple t-shirt that says cutie. I wore that a lot. It was my favorite outfit at the time. My mother, 20, is smiling dancing with my brother in her arms. He's only a few months old. It's 1985. I'm a year and a half older than him. I'm happy. I think Ma is happy. Hamzy, my little brother, seems happy. We all seem happy. Is it an act? I don't know. And see. I'm writing more. I promise. But anyway, I just wanted to do this as sort of a little insight into me. I feel like a lot of people think they know who I am, but they don't. Not even a little bit. And that's kind of, again, goes back to my original statement of people don't need to know all the details about you. They don't need to know who you are. They don't need to know your history. They don't need to know what you're about. And also, though, I'm not going to stop sharing myself. That's part of who I am and why I am and how I am and when I am. And I share myself. And if that's a problem with people, I can't change that. And I'm also not going to. I'm going to share myself. I'm going to be in the community. And I'm going to be as open and authentic as I can be, even while I'm navigating difficult situations with my mental health. And that's that. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and for listening to my poetry and my couple of short little prose stories. I am actively finishing getting up on my book. But again, remember, I wrote several chapters, got the whole thing together, and then I have been rewriting a lot lately. And so it's coming. It is coming. And I am just focusing on enjoying life and enjoying my art and living to my full authentic self. So, yeah. So, I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day. Don't, as the saying goes, don't let anyone yuck up your yum. You stay yummy. Stay yummy, y'all. And don't let anyone steal your joy. That's the most important thing. Don't let anyone steal your joy, because your joy is most important and you matter. And so, thanks so much. I'll see y'all soon. I've got some really exciting other videos coming up. I will probably be sharing more poetry and prose next week. And oh yes, and I have some trainings and stuff too that I'm working on as well. So stay tuned, y'all. And I hope you have a wonderful, amazing day. Take care. Bye.